Have you recently listened to tracks where the build-up got you hyped, and then the sound disappeared all of a sudden, only to hit you right in the face with the drop? Yeah, that's been happening way too often, and I don't like it. There's a difference between creating tension and sounding like someone yanked the cable. That's not artistic contrast, that's just bad production. I keep hearing this on tracks from major labels. The build-up's pumping, energy's rising, then bam, the pre-drop hits, and it's like someone turned the volume knob down to 0. Then the drop slams back at full volume like a shitty horror movie jump scare. It's like a singer mumbling verses, then screaming the chorus. Sure, contrast is good, but this is a huge Grand Canyon-sized gap of volume. And here's what's killing me. These aren't bedroom producers. These are signed artists on big labels, tracks that went through multiple A&Rs and label people, and somehow nobody said, hey, maybe dropping the volume by 40 dB is too much. And I get what they're trying to do. We all want our drops to hit harder. Creating contrast by lowering the pre-drop volume? Smart move. I do it too. But there's a massive difference between creating anticipation and creating an audio black hole. And the worst part? I'm hearing this epidemic spreading. Once one producer does it, suddenly everyone's copying it, thinking that's the secret sauce. It's not. It's audio amateur hour dressed up as a production technique. So I've been analyzing why this keeps happening, and I've got a few theories. First, I'm assuming it's because some producers are automating the volume of the track on the master chain after the limiter, instead of automating individual elements within the mix. So when you drop the entire master by even small amounts of dB, it's very noticeable, and you lose all of the dynamics of your build-up that makes it interesting and intense. It's super lazy, and it sounds terrible. Second is what I call the dance floor deception. Some big producers have the luxury of playing their unfinished tracks live and get feedback. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, it can be super valuable and can be really insightful. But we all know that there are some tricks that DJs pull in a live show that don't really sound good or cannot be translated exactly into your music production. And while they work on the dance floor and get a good response from the crowd, you can't just do an aggressive high cut on your entire track during production, for example. So yes, having a silent pre-drop before your loud drop will make the live crowd go nuts because the contrast is so extreme. But what works when you're pumping 20,000 watts through a festival system doesn't work when someone's listening on Spotify through their AirPods. Context matters. Third, and this drives me crazy, most of these tracks, and I want to emphasize most, not all, are coming from a specific record label which I won't mention, because I'm not trying to start some beef here, but what I'm assuming is happening is that maybe a mastering engineer or an A&R person at that label decided that this is the sound, and suddenly every track coming out sounds like someone's playing with the mute button. It's like the blind leading the blind. Trends are cool, but not every trend is necessarily good, especially ones that are not started by artists. But the real issue? Everyone's just winging it. No measurements, no understanding of psychoacoustics, just, I'll drop it until it feels dramatic. Well, congratulations, you've created drama alright, the wrong kind. Here's how to actually do this right without guesswork. Over the course of your build-up, whether that's 8 bars or 16 bars, you automate specific elements down. Not the whole mix, individual elements. I drop leads and main synths by only 4 to 6 dB, and louder elements, or ones with more low frequencies, by 8 to 12 dB maximum. The key is linear automation starting from the beginning of the build-up, not some sudden cliff at the pre-drop. Then during that 1 bar pre-drop, I automate these elements back up, creating a subtle swell effect that naturally leads into the drop. Meanwhile, any elements that only play during the pre-drop, your drum fills, your sound effects, and pre-drop vocals, those stay at their properly mixed levels, using the method I showed you in my leveling video. The science here is simple. You need enough contrast to create anticipation, but not so much that you break the listening experience. We're talking 4 to 12 dB of reduction of some elements, not 30 to 48 dB of the entire track. That's the difference between a professional dynamic moment and sounding like your DAW crashed. And this all happens in the project, before you're master chained. You're sculpting dynamics with surgical precision, not taking a sledgehammer to your limiter. When you do this right, the drop still hits like a truck, but it's a truck you saw coming, not one that blindsided you in a parking lot. The energy flows naturally, buildup grows, pre-drop creates tension through subtle reduction, then the drop delivers the payoff. No more jarring volume gaps, no more listeners reaching for their volume knobs, just smooth, professional dynamics that work everywhere, from festival systems to earbuds. But here's the thing, that's not the only way producers are overcomplicating production. There's another problem hiding in your plugin folder right now. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, then hit subscribe. Because in the next video, I'm revealing why I went from 200 plugins only down to 30 plugins, and why you should too.